Hello, welcome to a brand new series here on the channel in Timberborn Update 4. We're going to be checking out the Water Beaver mod, the massive mod that adds a new faction to the game and all sorts of interesting new opportunities for different production trees and game mechanic changes and everything. So it's very hard. I tried a little bit earlier this week to get some of it figured out and kicked my butt. So we're going to try again and record it this time and see just how far we can get. Nobody's really done a full series on this that I can find on YouTube, so it's a little bit of an uncharted territory. There's not a ton of information out there about this. I've just seen a lot of people asking me to check the mod out, so that's what we're going to do. And here's what it says about this faction. It's called the White Paws. It says they're followers of the true beaver path. For them, everything is a house. Their population often explodes out of control. Food and water run out. Science is a luxury, and your defeat unavoidable. Forget what other factions taught you, and welcome to water hell. So that's a pretty intense little blurb there. But we're going to go ahead and get started, and I'll explain to you a little bit of the differences between these guys and the other factions. So we're going to pick Plains, Easy Map, and Normal Difficulty. See you on the other side. All right, and once again, we find ourselves at the start of a new settlement. You know what we're going to do. We're going to name it Beaverburg 12 because this is the 12th series on the channel. So like that, and then we're going to go ahead and hit pause right out the gate so I can explain to you a little bit about what makes this faction and this mod so different. Now, this is the very first map I ever played in the game. It's called Plains. It's a 256 by 256. And if you have been around a long time or you just really are a glutton for punishment, then maybe you've seen that series I did on this map. Very first series I did, I think 2 years ago. But yeah, it's hopefully going to be a good map for this. There's a little bit of easiness from the way the water comes in, and trust us, we're going to need this. It's very hard, but this faction starts out in a little bit of a different way. We don't have a district center. We actually have a broken expedition cart, which the game describes as our first district center, if it can be called so. Only dismantle after building a better town center. So we're not going to get into too much of this today. But there's a lot of meshing technologies. As you can see, the toolbar is very different. Outside of this like left third is pretty much entirely the same, except we have some different crops, have some different trees and vines and stuff we can plant. But the real difference in this is when you start getting into this side, a bunch of new stuff. Like we have new types of stairs, we have new types of platforms. We've got these other overhanging side platforms. This is all stuff that's included in the mod. I've not added any mods to this game, this playthrough, with the exception of vertical power shafts, custom name lists so we can see our beard boosters, which, by the way, let's check and see. Yeah, we got Disturbed Simulations, we got Fabrizio here, we've got Skrymer U, and we've got Roy Gray over here. So we have a small selection of beard boosters from the get-go, which is cool. You'll see their names, the rest of them pop up as our population increases. But I digress. There's pretty much everything else you see here is part of the pack for the Water Beavers, with the exception of this time-lapse up here in the center of the screen at the top. And that is a mod that I've got so we can have a comprehensive overview of all of our progress. So before we go any further, let's go ahead and set that up. I do all this where you guys can see it so we know it's actually, done correctly. But what this does is it takes a picture of the map every so often, every little interval. I think I currently have it set to 12, once every 12 hours in my other playthrough. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do a nice top-down, I think, for this one, so we can see the expansion. Or we could go just a tiny bit aimed down like this, so we can get a little bit of a 3-dimension. But I do want to show most of the outer reaches of stuff, so let's zoom in just a tiny bit more. So let's see if I can get everybody in here. Get this right up in the bottom of the screen, side to side, looking good. All right, so I'm going to now set camera settings, enable snapshot frequency 1 day. Looks good to me. All right, so that's done. This is the view we'll get every single day. The game will take a screenshot, and then we'll be able to look back at the end and see what our progress looked like. Let's go ahead and get out of free mode, turn the fog back on, and then leave developer mode. And there we go. Now we're back normal, and we can truly begin. So like I said, this is our quote-unquote district center, And we're going to have to learn a whole bunch of new production trees, a bunch of new building mechanics, and all sorts of fun stuff. And the reason I haven't unpaused yet is because there's a couple things we really, really need to make sure we get done before we start, or we're just going to be hopelessly behind. So let's, again, very quickly go through the rest of this. We already talked a little bit about these extra paths and platforms and stuff. You'll notice that some of them are unlocked and some of them are locked. And most interestingly, suspension bridges 1 and 2 are unlocked, and the rest of them are locked. And we have what's called crappy platforms. I love this name. It's so funny. But these take a lot more resources, and you have them unlocked all single, double, and triple. Or actually, no, these aren't single, double, triple. These are different wood types. Well, consider me thoroughly corrected then. I hadn't actually looked at all of this before. But the gist is the game gives you a certain number of things with this mod that you can just do right off the bat. But everything else that's locked, you got to go through a lot of stuff to get to it. Because if you go to the science thing, to build a library which generates science, you have to have a lot of stuff. You have to do a lot of different production trees and different things. You got to make this thing that looks like a book over here. And to actually make one of those is a really, really involved process. And I actually don't know exactly what it is, but I know there's a ton of stuff. Yeah. Okay, so the screw press, you have to take 200 individual books into like some sort of library thing. You have to make all these, and I don't know. We're going to get to it. The tech tree in this game and with this mod is absolutely nuts. It's just unbelievable how complex everything is. But let's go ahead and move on to dams, houses, and dam houses. So you might be saying, what? That's because all of the houses, all the lodges, with the exception of a couple, are actually watertight, and you can put them underwater. So, for example, this regular lodge is just like you'd see in Vanilla Timberborn for the Folktales, where you have an entrance on one side or the other, depending on how which building you select. But in this mod, you can actually place this in the water, and it will completely block. We're obviously not going to build this, but just to demonstrate. Like if I did that, that completely blocks this whole river, and it doesn't flood them because, well, they're water beavers. They like being in the water. So you can actually use houses as dams, which is a really cool mechanic, and definitely something that is a little bit of a double-edged sword, because you might be thinking, oh, well, it's a dam. It's going to let some water through, right? Well, no. These are all watertight. If you want semi-permeable dams, you have to go to this, well, it's actually called a dam, and you have to have these new things we haven't ever made before. Some sort of like a screw or a nail or whatever you see. It requires 10 of those and then 40 logs to make a primitive dam that is just, I think this ends up being 3 wide by 2. Yeah, it's, so this will block some water, semi-watertight, kind of functioning how the original game dams, you notice that doesn't appear here. So we're not going to be able to have any water pass through levees or dams until we can make these things, which is probably not going to be in this video, if we're being honest. I think the tech tree required to get there is a little bit more involved than we can realistically accomplish today. But it's going to be very interesting to see how all this works, because not only do you have these as inhabitants, they can also employ hauling beavers. So there's no hauling post anymore. This has all been completely reorganized, and now you have new storage as well, like piles, warehouses, and tanks, as well as these other things, and there's a whole lot. But you'll notice a lot of these things are locked behind science, which we're not going to get for a very long time. So we have small pile, we've got medium piles, and we've got large piles. And the large piles and the medium piles, for some reason, take the same amount of resources, but hey, I'll take it. That's fine. A giant log storage, because we have giant sequoia trees we could plant. That is, that's a big boy. Very, very, very large. And that's way later. We're going to get into all that. But then we come into the basic village structures. This is pretty much the meat and potatoes of how most of the things in the mod work. And a lot of this is going to be the early stuff we get into. You'll notice that the gatherer flag, which normally in any other faction playthrough would be under the food tab, has been moved here. You now have a new thing called a tapper flag, which is most of the functionality of a tapper's shack, but you can just set it up right from the get-go at the beginning of the game without researching anything. And that's to get the stuff like we have over here with our, let's see if I can even get this in here, the pine resin. We'll be taking advantage of that. We also have the lumberjack flag. You'll notice the wood tab is completely gone. This has all just been completely shuffled around. Lumberjack flag, scavenger flag unlocked by default. forester to plant trees, obviously, and the tapper shack now also serves as a house because almost everything in the game is a house. That's one of the most interesting and challenging parts of this mod, is that you really have to be careful what buildings you place and where, because beavers are going to sleep there and they're going to breed until they fill all the beds. So you can't overbuild, which is going to be a huge, huge challenge for us, because that's kind of what we're used to doing, is just overbuilding, filling up capacity, and then going again. It's going to require a much more methodical approach. So that's going to be interesting to keep track of there. The four-way district center, I believe, is the new thing that they were talking about with reference here to building a better town center. We don't want to delete this either because there's stuff in here. I'm pretty sure, correct me in the comments if you've played this mod and you know, but I can see little bits and pieces of these things that we don't want to get rid of until we have somewhere to put them, like this anvil. That's going to be pretty important, I'm pretty sure, from what I remember checking this out earlier. We've got different science things. Look at all these little materials. I love the artwork for this too. This is great. They almost look more like mice, except they have these big fleshy tails that we now know is, well, they're beavers. But it's just a really cool aesthetic. So moving on, we have Alchemist. That's a brand new thing, and of course that sleeps beavers too. It's a house. Everything's a house. Wood felling plantification lodge. We got Harvester's office. We got a Builder's lodge that replaces the Builder's hut, except now they sleep there too. A Copist lodge, or Copist, maybe. I'm not sure. Some of the terms and names for buildings, I'm not sure exactly what they're supposed to be, but basically this is somebody who works on blueprints, and this is actually someone who can make those books. You see I can't move the mouse off of here or it's going to disappear, but you can see that red outlined book. That's part of making the library research area. So you got to make a bunch of those, and then you have to turn them into something else. It's a whole thing. We're going to get through all that. But look at that. We got Artist Lodge. We got Handicrafter's Lodge. And then we have upgrades to buildings. Balloon Traders. Like, look at this. We got Trade with Iron Teeth, Folktales, Island Beavers, Jungle Beavers. Like, there's a bunch of depth to this that is just unbelievable, the amount of stuff they go through here. And then Tree Nurseries, which you can use to grow exotic species. Possibly. We'll get into that. If we move on to the water tab, of course, we have a regular water pump, but it also, again, sleeps 3 beavers. We have a water pump upgrade that you can actually use to place between 2 adjacent pumps. And there's a bunch of this upgrade kind of stuff. Deep water pumps. You've got deep water pump upgrades, all sorts of other stuff. Crappy irrigation towers. Irrigation tower lodge. This one sleeps beavers and has other benefits. River baths and showers, unlocked by default. Lidos, of course. Water dumps, aquifer pumps, stream gauges, included by default, and you don't have to have the other mod to get those. And deep mechanical water pumps. Food, now this is a ton of new stuff for food. Got fermentation barrels with some of the new crops to put in here. Cooking tents to make different types of stew and different iterations thereof. Regular farmhouse, as always, but now this farmhouse is different because it sleeps 3 beavers and it only employs 1. So you're going to have an interesting problem when it comes to harvest plants that you've grown, because you're not going to have enough manpower, beaver power. So then you have buildings like, for example, this florist right here, which sleeps 3 beavers and also employs beavers that can help with harvest and then also plant decorative flowers, which give other bonuses. But it's like you can have a staff of beavers that only help with harvest, and then when it's not harvest time, they can go do other stuff, which I think is cool. You can grow mushrooms, which, funnily enough, in this version of the game, there are no terraforming things. So if you want dirt, you actually have to plant mushrooms. And then when you put in, what is right here? Yeah, the terrain block, it takes 1,000 pieces of dirt and 16 logs, and ends up looking something like this. So it's like a brick of logs and dirt. And you don't have to research it, but you do have to have a ton of dirt, and that's going to be a whole bunch of mushroom farming to get there. So, and of course, you all also have grist mills and beehives and all that other stuff. Light industrial buildings, all of this is pretty much completely new, with the exception of the paper mill. I think is the only theoretically same building that comes over. I mean, I don't know what it looks like because it's locked behind science research. But it performs more or less the same function, but it has a different recipe. So you have sawdust, that's the 5, and then the pile with the flag on it, that's sawdust. Takes sawdust, water, and pine resin to make paper, which is, you know, probably a lot closer to actually, making paper than the way it does in the vanilla game. But fundamentally of great interest to us early game is this log gnawing station, which there's no more industrial lumber mills, no more regular lumber mills. You got beavers in a tent chewing on logs. They can either make a plank and some sawdust, they can make only sawdust, or they can make this thing called a screw shaft that goes into this building, the screw press, and all these other things to make these crazy complicated industrial components, which is just super cool. I'm really excited to get into that. Hopefully we make it that far and don't have too many problems. We're almost done. Hang in with me. I know we haven't hardly done anything. It's been, 15 minutes? But we're going to get there, I promise. Now we have mining, which is a really big expansion over the base game. Because, base game, you can tear down these ruins, and then you have these underground mines and stuff. But with the water beavers, you have primitive mines, and you have medium mines, and you have all these other things to refine metal and do different forgings and stuff. So what this is it actually goes into the side of a cliff, which I'll show you right here. Turn it around. So you build into the side of a cliff face. It has to be 2 blocks tall. And then once you put this down, I guess it's not going to show me unless I click here. I'm going to get rid of that because we're not going to build that immediately. But it actually has different quote-unquote recipes you can do. You can get iron, which is Fe. That's the symbol for iron in the periodic table. I'm not sure what the NO3 is. Some sort of, I don't know. I didn't do well in chemistry. I just know that some sort of chemical thing that I probably should know what it is. Probably should have looked it up, but I didn't. Oh well, sue me. The C is for coal. I thought it was carbon, which I guess technically is the same or similar thing to coal, but the game calls it coal. And then NaCl, of course, salt, which you can grab out of the mines. And each of these different materials have to be used to make different compounds in the game and ingredients in different recipes. So that's going to be very important for us to get at least 2 of these up so we can make different things. And of course, primitive iron works to make those nails and screws that we were talking about earlier. That's going to require coal and scrap metal. But unless you can get over to actually tear down these ruins, which, realistically we can and probably should do it that way instead of mining the metal, you have to smelt it, which you would do in the primitive smelter. That takes iron and coal 40 hours, 25 units apiece, to make 15, or you can just, have your beavers walk over here and tear it down and then use it. But when you run out of that, that's how you get more of that. There is no such thing as putting a regular mine thing on top of this, at least as far as I can tell. That maybe there's something I've missed, because I have not exhaustively researched this. I've just done a little bit of poking around, played it a little bit to try and get some sort of an idea. But outside of that, we've got wood burners, which you can use to make coal. You can, similar to a process of making charcoal in real life. Some sort of S with a cup or a bowl, and maybe some sort of spicy stew or something. I don't know. And the primitive ironworks, you can also do similar things. Factory. Now, this is a big one. This makes a whole bunch of different stuff. You can make an anvil with, it looks like, 200 units of coal, 100 units of scrap metal. 13 hours you make 1 anvil. But you have to power it, which, of course, is pretty much standard to how the base game operates, except you have all of the power generating things from the base game and not just ones for any particular faction. We just have the crappy water wheel, which is, it doesn't look that much different. But everything else is locked behind science. So this is the only power source you can have at the very beginning of the game, is the crappy water wheel. You have crappy windmills with different height levels, and then you have gravity batteries, light gravity batteries, and then of course the vertical power shafts mod that I installed. But you have to research it, which we can't do right away. So it's gonna be pretty bare bones early on in the game, and it's gonna be interesting to see what ends up happening for sure. Of course, library, like I said, it requires a ton of stuff to make all the books and everything. So this is several episodes in the future. Then mechanics lodges, architects lodges. Don't tell RCE about this one. Is that French? So I don't know how to read that because I don't speak French, but I'm assuming that's French. Refineries, bot part factories, bot assemblers, like you would normally come to expect. Billboards seem to, I guess, kind of be a stand-in for a product manual. We'll look at some of these later, but some of these actually, you won't regret this. Okay, well these are like memes, I guess. But other than that, pretty much everything else is the same, except now we have a trebuchet, which apparently is some sort of recreational thing. I'm afraid of where this might go. It says the only realistic way to get rid of all those useless rocks also allows that one nerdy beaver to study ballistics. What are they going to stick a beaver in there and hurl him across the map? That's kind of funny. Farm upgrade nerdy attic. I thought this was hilarious when I looked at this earlier. So basically, you're making an attic for guys to go play board games or whatever up in the top, which is actually, if we come up here to the well-being, you'll notice there is a, where is it? Social life? Yeah. No, where was it? Fun. There it is. Comic books, role-playing games, trebuchet, and then all the other stuff. So yeah, we're gonna have a really fun time with this. I'm very excited to get into all of this. Everything else pretty standard well-being, except you'll notice there's a new thing called filth, which if you remember me talking about the showers, it's going to be important. The beavers will stop working once they reach a certain threshold of perceived filth. So it's going to be pretty important sometime this episode to get showers up and running so the beavers can clean themselves and feel like they're going to want to work. Because if you have all of your beavers too filthy to work, then, well, you lose. They're not going to do anything, and then everybody's going to starve. Everything else is pretty much the same, except you have, of course, new categories for the different foods. And they have a couple of new aesthetics and awe and fun things. So it's going to be cool. Decoration mostly the same, couple new benches, monuments we already know. So all that being said, let's finally jump in 20 minutes into the video. I really appreciate your patience, but it's very, very important that we actually, understand fundamentally how this new mod works and all the different things that we can do and have to do, or else it's going to be a very boring, very short video when I die immediately. So first things first, we need to get wood, we need to get water, we need to get food. That's always the most important things you can do. So let's go ahead and identify what areas we're going to be putting stuff in. You might think, hey, let's cut these trees down, but because we need to have access to the pine resin, we don't want to cut these down. These are mostly mature trees. We want to keep these to harvest the pine resin. Maybe cut these down, but all these dead trees, these are the ones we want to be cutting down. And we already have this slope in place, which is good for us because these log stairs take 20 logs apiece to build, which is astronomically expensive compared to the regular stairs, which are in this version 4 planks and 1 log, but we have to research those, and we're not going to have any research for a very long time. So we really need to be careful about what we build, because overbuilding is going to be a terrible idea. So let's go ahead and just put in our pathing here. Just connect this all up. I'm going to come first thing first over here and put in, I believe we're going to want to put in, can I do 2 lumberjack flags, maybe? Maybe 2 of them right here. Or actually, I'll tell you what. It doesn't cost anything to put more path down. So let's just do, let's do 1 here, 1 there, and put a path going through. And we can actually put some storage back here. We're going to want to have, not going to build it yet because that's going to take resources we want to do with other stuff. But 2 lumberjack flags should be able to take care of these trees. We'll put some stairs going up here at some point in the future. Make sure we preemptively mark these for cutting, just so we don't forget and end up in a bad position later. I'm going to do these 2, just so we're ahead of the game and not embarrassing ourselves. So that is wood taken care of. We do start out with 130 berries. But I'm going to go ahead and put down, I always want to go to the food tab. Got to go here. Put in the gatherer flag as well so we can gather. Actually, if I put this upstairs here, you can get both of those. Yeah, let's put that there. Gather all these berries. And then that's taken care of for that. We need to have water now, which again, the water pump is a house. So what are we going to do? We're going to find a place that is going to make sense for us to put one of these things, and then stick it in. Now, if I put in, let's find out where the thing is. Yeah, I can do this, give us 2. Do we really need 2 at the very beginning? Probably not. Probably not. But it is housing, and that's going to be very important to make sure all of our beavers have somewhere to live, since, well, they kind of need it to reproduce. So we'll come in here and then just drag this right the way up to the very center of that right there. Plop that in place. Now we don't need to build water storage quite yet because that's going to be taken care of mostly early game by storage inside the water pump. Now these take 25 logs apiece. So even though we placed down 2, I am going to pause this second one because we don't need it immediately. It's more important to have these flags gathering and this one thing pumping than pretty much anything else. And now that that's taken care of, next thing I'm going to do is build a farmhouse, just a regular farmhouse. And we'll put this guy, I think, is going to be important for us to consider water planting as well in the future. So I'm actually going to go ahead. I believe I can get away with putting this guy here. And that's going to have most of this accessible for planting and also most of down here. But again, we're going to have stairs go down there, and that's going to be a whole thing, but we're not there yet. So now that we have the farmhouse in place, we're going to be able to queue up crops to be planted, and there's a couple new things. We'll unpause in a minute. Stick with me, hang in there. We got cabbage, which seems to have replaced carrots as the pretty much early game easy food. It can be eaten raw, so we're going to be planting a bunch of these. We also have sunflower seeds, which have already existed. Green peas, we haven't planted before, but we'll figure out what those are all about. Spatterdock we're familiar with, but there's no aquatic farmhouse in this mod. So this farmhouse is going to be planting those, and mushrooms and all this other stuff. So since this is already placed down, it hasn't been built yet, but I'm going to go ahead and stick in some cabbage. We're going to let them do what they need to do, but I just want to make sure that there's a good amount already planted so that whenever gets around to actually putting the seeds in, he's going to stay busy planting them, and by the time he's done planting, he can harvest this, that, and the other. And remember, it's only one beaver at a time. So that's going to be good. We're not going to need to worry about the showering or the cleaning for a little while, but we definitely want to make sure we get that done before the end of today's episode, because it's going to be very important. Once the beavers get dirty, they don't want to work. We've already said a billion times, but this is going to hold 3 beavers. This is going to hold 3 beavers. We're going to have 6 other beavers that are going to be unaccounted for. So what we're going to need to do is find other places for them to live and work. But for now, the most important thing is to get them building. So we're going to unpause and let them start by putting these lumberjack flags down and the gatherer flags. And then over here, we're going to have, of course, our tapper's flag. See if I can get all of these trees in one. I'm not going to be able to. That's fine. If I can get all of these trees in, then I think we're going to be in decent shape. And I think right here should get all of them. Gets all of those, and it almost gets all of these. So that's going to be good. This guy is going to have plenty to do. This is going to be one job, one job, one job, one job, one job, one job. So all of our adult beavers pretty much are going to be able to be gainfully employed once all of this is down, which is pretty much all we can ask for. And now that we've gotten most of this stuff out of the way, we're going to go a little bit turbo mode. We're not going to abuse the turbo mode too much, because we can very, very quickly get beyond our means. But not cutting these trees down is going to allow us to get a lot of pine resin. Hey, Skrymer U, working in the tapper's flag. It's very important. You saw it was a lot of recipes. We're really going to want to make sure we're taking care of that. So let's see who else is working where. Lumberjack flag Fabrizio here. We've got, oh, that's not a beard booster. Neither is that. First building they're going to build is going to be the water pump, like we said. Already well on our way, and it's only the night of day 1, so we're in very good shape. As long as we have food and water secured, we're good. We're not perfect, but we're good. Now, the fun thing, if you remember when we were talking about all the different houses being dams, we don't have a pass-through dam available. It's, well, I guess more realistically, all the housing is levees, not specifically dams, the way Timberborn defines them. But we're going to have to build complete blockade of this river for when the drought comes around day, I don't know, 12, 13, 14. And if we do it wrong, it's going to flood all of this and be a huge pain, which I would like to avoid. So we're going to have to get a little bit creative. We're going to have some stairs coming down. Probably going this way if I had to choose. Based off of this, we can do brown logs, birch logs, or scrambled logs. Scrambled logs look kind of fun. If we put this here, I think it's going to be a little bit better accessibility, but that's going to be pretty low on the priority list. I guess they just have to build the farmhouse because this is paused. But that's going to allow us to plant down here and then also put in different shower things, which I'm not going to prioritize right now because, well, we really don't need to. It should be fine. otherwise. But look at all these trees they've already cut down. And all of the stuff that we haven't built or done yet. It's definitely going to be a big commitment to try and get all this accomplished. And that's why we're playing on normal, and that's why we are not doing some crazy map. The starter map should be perfectly fine for our first time checking this out. So now it looks like these guys are doing pretty well here. Just about done with the farmhouse. That's going to give 3 more beavers a place to live and 1 beaver a place to work. We will need to build some additional stuff, but I want to give them a chance to get a little bit more underway here. Now you'll notice this guy has full pine resin, so he's going to need some storage. Pine resin goes in warehouses. Now this is funny. We've got mini crappy warehouse, which I love the tooltips for these. An embarrassing display of laziness applied to an unworthy task. But it holds 36, which is more than the regular small warehouse holds at, oh, okay, this was modified. It used to be 30. But, you've got this, and then you have crappy warehouse, and then if you want the actual, like, you know, regular Timberborn warehouses, you have to have research done. Then you have the crate storage house, which I'm not entirely sure what the whole crate system is, but I guess we'll figure that out. For the meantime, let's give this guy a crappy warehouse for his for all of his pine resin, and look at all the stuff we can put in here. This is unbelievable complexity of everything in this mod. But here's our pine resin, so we'll click that, and he can keep harvesting. We can amass a pretty good amount of that because it's going to be important. And you can see here now we've got these guys living in the farmhouse, but Roy Gray is the only one actually planting. And he's actually just about done planting these cabbages. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to take this out of triple speed before I get ahead of myself. And we're going to plant some sunflower seeds. And then Spatterdock obviously has to go down here. This is not going to be able to be planted here, but I think I can plant, yes, I can plant here, and then I'm going to leave a space at the bottom, but then this can all be planted as well. We're going to have a path coming this way, and we can actually place, like I was saying earlier, the lodges down here, as well as bath stuff, but we're not quite there yet. I would like to try and avoid building the lodges until the last minute, just so we're not in a bad spot. But we have a spot right here that is going to be a good place for a storage pile. Large pile takes only 6 logs, which is fantastic. Fine by me. We'll just stick this guy right here. Logs. And actually, let's take a second and look at all the rest of the stuff. We've got broken glass, we've got coal, we've got dirt, iron ore, mountain salt, saltpeter, that's what it is. Okay. I just didn't recognize what that symbol was, so we're going to use that for explosives, I'm sure. Sawdust, of course, scrap metal, treated planks, and then this is just waste rocks, which I guess is a byproduct of some types of mining. Not entirely sure, but that's going to hold a bunch of logs. We've got our gatherer flag. Going to need to have some sort of other storage for berries, which is going to be, I guess, a crappy warehouse, which of course we can't build anything on top of. That's the way it goes. So I guess we'll just put that there. Not really any rhyme or reason to it. Going to hold that for berries, and then I'm going to preemptively make a spot to hold cabbages, because those should be maturing in 5 days or so. Maybe 4 days, depending on when they were planted. Okay, yeah, so a little over 4 days we'll have cabbages start to come in, and the process will begin anew. And we have our stairs. So now this farmhouse should be able to plant Spatterdock once he gets through the rest of this. And we'll see. We probably should have another farmhouse, but we don't really have the resources for that right now. I guess we probably should. I kind of don't. I kind of don't want to, though. I don't know if we did. Am I going to be able to put it in a place where it's not going to block anything? Probably should stagger it so that they don't overlap so much, but I guess it doesn't really matter. Yeah, if I put this here, this probably isn't the worst thing ever. Nope, not there. Get out of here. Guess we'll just build this. They have to have a place to sleep anyway. Let them get to work with whatever else. But food production is going to be a very important thing to get a handle on early game, for sure. Now we have our crappy warehouses. It's hilarious. That's what they call these things. Already working hard with the pine resin. Is that still... Yep, Skrymer U working away on that. So, next things we want to try and take a look at are going to be processing all of this wood, which, if you remember from earlier, I was talking about our log gnawing station. That's not a house. Don't worry. It's just a place for beavers to work. But it's going to take 10 logs, and we're going to put it over here in this general area. Think if I can find a good spot for it. Maybe up here, maybe not. Maybe we just stick it in a spot like right here. Should be fine. We choose a recipe. We make tooth cut plank sawdust or screw press axles. Right now we want planks. So preset that, lower our workers to say 2. I don't think we're going to really have too much of a choice there. But they should be, hopefully, once they have this crappy warehouse finished, they should be building this farmhouse. And then we'll be in pretty decent shape. But we do need to build houses because that's where the haulers live and are employed. So that might start to become a little bit of a problem. But it is only day 5. We have plenty of time. I'm going to try and fit the first cycle and drought into episode 1. We'll see how much time that takes. But for right now, let's go ahead, take a look at our dams. We have a bunch of different options. It doesn't just have to be the single-story lodge, but these take planks, and I'm not inclined to sit here and wait for planks. But one thing I did want to show you, I thought was really cool. Let's actually pause just a second. No, it wasn't houses. We have this thing called a pit and ladder lodge, which is a lodge that has 2 different entrances. You have right here on the bottom, you see how that connects with the green? I wish this tooltip thing would go away so I could actually show you a little bit better. But that's actually an entrance, and then on the top it also connects. So if you did this, you can stack them, and you can rotate which way the ladder faces. But just for illustrative purposes, you can stack this thing way up, and they're all connected. So it's like an apartment building kind of, which I think is really cool. And the really cool thing is you can go into basic village structures, find your 4-way district center. This connects to the top of these. You notice the red text that says can be placed on and connect to a pit and ladder lodge. So you can do this. Oh, okay. Well, it's connected, so it's not going to let me do that if I since we're paused. So this could be your district center, and that would just connect automatically, and you could still build paths coming out the side with platforms or some sort of bridges or something. So really, really cool idea with this. I think that is fantastic. Of course, we're not going to be building that right now, so we'll just quietly and quickly get rid of that. But it just goes to show the amount of thinking and innovative, just weird random stuff that made it into this mod is fascinating. It is really, really cool, and I am glad we're getting a chance to check it out. So we do still have to place lodges though, so we're just going to go with the regular lodges, which of course is why we're gathering all of this pine resin. We need it. So we're going to try to find a narrow-ish space. I think maybe right about here would be, maybe here? Yeah, I could fit 3 side by side. So if we did this, that's going to completely block the water flow, and it will flood this entire thing, I believe, if we have this completely blocked. So we're just going to build these 2 outer ones. I'm going to pause the center one, but we are going to connect everything with paths and make sure that this area is accessible. Probably you're going to need to put another staircase somewhere over here. But this definitely isn't the worst thing we could have ever done. That's going to help. We can go ahead and turn up our speed a little bit. And you can see they're out here planting spatterdock. When this matures, which probably, well, actually could be this episode, depending on how long this takes with the drought and everything. When that matures, it's going to need to be fermented. That's one of the easiest ways to utilize the spatterdock because it cannot be eaten raw. And that goes in a fermentation barrel, and I think it makes kimchi. I believe that's what that is. And we'll just have to have somewhere for these to ferment. And they're literally, the design for this is so cool. It's just a barrel on its side, but I think that looks great. So we're going to need, can we put it underwater? Huh, I guess it doesn't care. Maybe it'll be flooded. I don't know. we'll stick this for the sake of just convenience. We'll just stick one right here. Select recipe kimchi. Although you can ferment other stuff to make methane, mediocre chestnut beer, or, you know, clean the barrel, which I'm assuming you have to do before you change what goes in there. But set that to kimchi, so that is just ready to go. Of course, these take, what, 10 days? 12 days, I'm sorry. Well, for this one, it's closer to 11 or 10 days. But it's going to take a while. We just want to make sure we have everything in place, thinking proactively and not reactively, or else we're going to be in some deep stuff. That being said, log gnawing station is ready to go. It just has to take the time to make the planks and the sawdust. And once we have planks, we can start doing mining, which is going to be all sorts of fun. We're going to have that to go in and do a bunch of the other stuff. But another thing that we can do is, this is kind of far away, but I don't think, I just don't think, there you go. I don't think it's going to be in our best interest to try and smelt metal if we don't have to. I wanted to go in here to get the scavenger flag. There we go. I'm going to put this, I guess, probably right here is fine since everything is in range. Not too far away. We'll do a small pile for our scrap metal. Not going to need more than one of those. But that's going to allow us to skip a little bit of the mining process. Not all of it, but skip a little bit of it, get a head start, and get some of these other things going. Because remember, we need our nails and our screws and stuff. But the most important thing now is getting these houses built, the lodges, so that we can have more beavers. It probably wouldn't hurt to have this water pump either, since we currently don't have any water stored up. Our food supply is looking a little shabby. At least we have these guys planting. It looks like they're done planting, so what we can do now is keep on planting more stuff. If we stagger it, then might actually stand a decent chance here. I don't know what we do with the green peas, which is going to be interesting to think about how all this is supposed to work. I don't see peas showing up anywhere. I'm not sure what this the thing at the very top recipe with the cabbage and then like a flower with a spear. I'm really not sure what that's supposed to be, and I don't think it's labeled. So maybe it's some sort of something from a plant we don't have yet. Let's see. See, I just don't know what a lot of these different symbols are supposed to be. I guess that's part of the fun of learning. But I see rice definitely shows up. We can't do anything with rice yet because we have to have I think it's one of the upgraded farmhouse or something. The florist, though, this is a cool one. I can't remember if I told you about this yet or not, but the florist does harvest. It can't plant plants. It can plant flowers, decorative flowers, but it will assist with harvest. That says assist with harvest. Interesting. But yeah, that's going to be a building we want to build probably sooner rather than later. We just don't have the resources right now. But we're definitely going to want to get in there and take care of that. Now the beavers can start reproducing because they have 3 open beds, which is good. We want that because we're going to have a lot of jobs to fill. So long as we can feed them, which hopefully, now that we have cabbage coming in, it's going to not be a problem. All right, so we got somebody with broken teeth. Nobody's complaining about filth yet, but I think the next thing we're going to want to do, go back to the single time speed, is going to be to build a shower, which we can either do with a regular shower like we're used to, or this cool new building, the river bath, is actually like a kind of like a public bathhouse for the beavers, where you have just an entrance and some stalls. You can sit there, scrub yourself or whatever. And I think this is such a cool addition. Very, very interesting thing to stick in here, and it's not really going to fit the way I want it to, but that's fine. Now we'll stick this here. You can have 8 at a time, get clean. Not super expensive to build, and we want to make sure we're ahead of that, so we'll build that. It looks like they're going to finish this lodge first, and then we'll see what happens. But yeah, just wanted to make sure that was in there, because again, if you let that get away from you, you are never going to win. Never going to have a good time with that. Looks like food is slowly coming in. We've got a decently healthy amount of logs. which is good because none of these none of these are even close to being usable. Let's demolish this barrier, and then that's going to flood this, and we'll have a little bit more plantable area. We're going to want to start planting some trees, because there's not too many more of these we can cut down. We could probably cut down most of these and be okay, but I don't think we really want to mess with that. Next thing we want to build after we have all of our housing taken care of is probably going to be the mine, so we can start with some of the metal stuff. So we can go ahead and get that queued up. They haven't even gotten here yet, which probably was going to take them a long time anyway. Oh, hold on. You know what we forgot? We didn't build a single water tank, which we definitely want to do. We do have a couple new ones in the mod. We have the small plank tank, which is slightly better, has better capacity, but requires planks, which I don't really feel like using. Small covered tank. Takes the same amount of wood to build, but it has a slightly smaller capacity. We used this guy in the previous Folktales video that went up, I believe, yesterday. Cool. A pit tank is just a tall tank with an entrance on the second floor. Very useful for something like this. Medium tank, large tank, or giant berry tank, I'm sorry, have to be researched, and then water storage house, which I think is cool. Tall house with barrels on the bottom, and it's watertight, of course. So for now, we'll just do a regular small tank. And I believe we'll just put 2 of these guys right here. Notice all these liquids we can put in here. Obviously, the biofuel and stuff. You've got alcohol, which is under a medicine for some reason. Nitroglycerin, which I know has a history as a medicine, but it's still hilarious to think about. Sunflower oil. We've got stews, awful stew. Deluxe stew. Kimchi, which I guess isn't really a stew, but it's food. Mushroom stew, vegetable stew, tar, which is going to be a building material. We have berry juice, chestnut beer, coconut milk, dandelion tea, grape juice, spicy sodas, water, and of course, wine. But these are both going to be water. Looks like they're both set correctly. So they'll be able to store that. And these houses employ a hauler. Small house for a hauler beaver, so this guy works here. And these 3 slots are for beavers living here. So I think that's a cool mechanic, having the haulers kind of split around so they don't have their own separate building. We still haven't gotten into these things, which, you know, is fine. Don't have too much other space for that right now in terms of employed beavers. Food-wise, though, things are looking pretty okay. We have a decent stock. It's not the best, but it's definitely getting there. Now it's day 11. We're going to want to keep an eye on our drought watch here, because remember I said earlier, well, these houses really do block stuff, don't they? We want this to be finished pretty much the moment that the drought begins. If it's too early, it's going to flood this whole thing, could kill crops. If it's too late, the water is going to leave. The problem is the drought starts at the beginning of the day, and the beavers aren't going to be able to finish building this until probably halfway through the day, unless we have to build it now. So what else has not been built yet? Okay, they're working on that and then those things. I'm going to go ahead and unpause this, and I'm going to see if I can get this to be just about finished being built, and then pause it. So all they have to do is finish building. All the materials will be in place. Just have to have one beaver come over here and finish it up. And that hopefully should block enough water where it's not going to flood anything. Oh boy. Oh, and then we have this river bath too. But I think day 11, we know we have at least 3 days because we haven't had the drought warning yet. So that's okay. Other things, I did say the mine. Obviously this is the priority, but we can go ahead and get this set up because they will build in the order that the stuff is received. So primitive mine, again, very simple to build. We're going to be getting coal out of this one. And let's go ahead and put this in the side of the cliff here. We're going to have room here for another one right next to it. But we're also going to have stairs. Well, we don't have to have stairs. Probably should have stairs. Just to keep things in the correct order here. I think I'll just put that there. Just keep this straight. And then this can come around this way eventually to do that. And then we're going to want to have stairs coming up here. So I'm actually going to have that set up like so. I wanted to click on the wood thing, but it wasn't there. Lumberjack flag here to get these trees. I did mark those already. Good. So that'll keep them busy a little bit. We can go ahead and speed up construction. Really make sure this does not get finished. We just need to keep an eye on it, but we want it to be as close to done as possible, or else bad things can happen. So we'll just be watching this like a hawk. So far, so good. We haven't really had any major crises yet. I see a couple of new beard booster names showing up on the left side. Jack Galvin, Rogue Operations, joining the crew here. Let's really, really be careful here with beavers bringing over logs. Another thing you got to watch out for is sometimes these guys will get on the other side, and that's really going to be a problem when we go to actually build this thing. So if you have a beaver stuck on the other side, well, they're dead, or you have to waste a bunch of time and resources building stairs just to get them out. Yeah, there's our drought warning. So I know we probably don't want to be staring at this the whole time, but I really do not want this to be built early or late. So we're just going to have to sit here and kind of keep an eye on things. That's 10 out of 15 logs. Should be coming in with some more here in a second. Just really make sure this doesn't get out of hand. Alright, so they're going to have some logs. I'll take it to 12, 14, and I'm going to pause right there. We'll leave it. We'll just leave the rest and then hit that unpause at the right moment. Really need to make sure they get this river bath built. I don't see any filth complaints happening yet, which is good. But we really need to make sure this gets done. I think the logs were first. Oh, we don't have enough beavers to scavenger yet, which is fine, I suppose. Yeah, okay, they are doing this one first. Good. Broken teeth. Yeah, let's do a grindstone. I guess we can put that there. Well-being of 7. All right, we're making progress, folks. Just a little slower than we're used to, but so far we haven't had any major problems, and I think it's helped that we took some good time at the beginning of the episode to acquaint ourselves with some of the other stuff we're going to have to be dealing with. But so far, this is seeming like a really, really cool new take on the game, and I'm very, very excited we finally get to do it. So if you've played this, let me know in the comments. I know there's a few of you who have. Let me know in the comments what you thought about our start today. We're not quite done, but I want to make sure we get this out of here before I forget about it. So let me know your thoughts about this mod, about what we've got going on here. If you have any specific tips or advice or anything you think I should know, comment section's always open. Hey, look, these guys can now bathe. Turn our see-through on. Yeah, it's just like a little public bathhouse, except it's, I guess, buried in the water. But all the new buildings in this mod just look so nice with the whitewashed wood. I think that is a fantastic look. Also, cotton candy trees. What's cotton candy? Why does everyone call them cotton candy trees? That's funny. I think we can plant these too. Everblossoms? Yeah. Just a different type of tree for the mod. What else? Nobody working here still. We definitely want to make sure we have water in place. We have haulers, so they're taking care of that. Wow. Did a whole bunch there. All right, now we're coming up to the very end of the drought here. And now we have to decide. We have half a day left. I know if I build this now, it's definitely going to flood. But if it does flood, it's not going to stay for too long because this is just going to drain off the side here. But I really don't want it to kill. Really don't want it to kill all our crops. That'd be a huge, huge drag. So I think what we're going to want to do is unpause this very carefully unpause. Now let them bring this last log in and then immediately pause it as soon as that says 15. Because I know this joker right here. Oh, hey, Jack Galvin, don't be a joker. Go back on the other side. If he gets caught, he's dead. Probably not going to be able to save him. No, I think we should have one more builder beaver coming over here with a log. Yeah, I see him. I think. Or maybe we missed... No, there he is. He's carrying something. Yep, carrying a log, the last one. So he's gonna bring it on over here. We'll pause immediately. And then the next morning we will unpause with great haste. And just let that be done. Alright, 15. Is he gonna do any more percentage stuff on it? Any more building? It doesn't look like he is. So, if that's the case, maybe we can just leave it on... Oh, you better get on that other side. You better... Hold on. Who are you? Disturbed simulations, my dude. Get on the other side. Come on. You work at the log gnawing station. Well, I guess you don't have anything to do because we're completely full up on planks. But I implore you to get on the other side of this, or it's not gonna be fun. Not gonna be pretty. So get thee over there, and do not go back to the other side. It's the middle of the night. Go to bed. All you guys have, I'm sure, all sorts of stuff you want to do tomorrow. That does not involve getting stranded on the dry side of a dam. That being said, though, once the drought starts, it is going to take a little bit of time for the water to stop coming down here because it does have to drain. So I think we'll be okay if I just unpause. You better get out of there. My guy, I already told you once, get out of here. Yeah, we'll unpause this in just a second here. As soon as this turns to 0. Although I'm kind of surprised at how many of these guys are not sleeping. Just walking around. Which, alright, do what you want, but you're going to be tired. We've got a lot of stuff to do. Alright, so here comes our drought in just a second here. Gonna unpause, and... Now. Oh, a 2-day drought? There we go. That's gonna be fine. I just need them to finish this expeditiously. Come on. Come on, somebody come down here and finish this thing. Do not dry this whole thing out, I swear. You better get down here. Get down here, my dude. Finish this. There you go. Good job. Proud of you. That was a close call. Well, it's not going to evaporate in 2 days, I can tell you that. But now you can kind of see where the problem here is going to be, that we are going to have to remove one of these lodges when the drought ends, or else everything is going to flood. So until we can have the semi-permeable dams, we're going to need to just keep kind of doing this, cheesing the mechanic here with the lodge. But I'm glad it didn't break down here. Spatterdock is not going to be finished by the time our 2-day drought... Come on, a 2-day drought? It's not going to be finished by the time that's over, so that'll be next episode. But this is, I think, a pretty decent start, all things considered. We can keep pumping, although I kind of don't want to keep pumping. Pause this. How deep is... But if I pause this, here's a fun thing. If I pause this, then it kicks out the dwellers too. So now we're going to have, well, I guess we're not going to have any homeless beavers, but we're not going to have any new babies because they, don't have extra space to make more. But now it really makes you think about how the pause and unpause game cheesing strategy is going to work, because there's not too many workplaces you can pause without also kicking people out of their homes. What a mess. Alright, so let's give our guys here at the log gnawing station a little bit of extra room. Storage piles. Could do a couple large piles. That's not going to fit. I'm going to go ahead and just make one of these for planks. Then we have medium piles. We have small piles. So actually, I think... Is the large pile less efficient storage space? Stores 180 for 9 squares. That's 20 per square. Oh no, it's just even. Okay, that's fine. Not really any kind of benefit to doing it the other way. Then I guess we'll do... No, not dirt. I need sawdust. There we go. Just make some space for all of that. Planks and everything. The mine is now finished. Recipe for that, I think we're going to want coal. Because if we go to our industrial buildings, no, metal, our primitive ironworks is going to require coal to make those screws and nails. Then our primitive smelter is going to require iron ore and coal. So that is why eventually we're going to need to have 2 of these. But for right now, the coal is fine. So next thing we're going to build... Oh, no, we can't because we don't have an anvil. We don't have an anvil. So I think... I can't remember if I mentioned this before or not. I love this guy's just sitting on a little box there. This anvil right here, if you've played this, let me know. If when I get rid of this broken expedition cart, if I get that anvil in my inventory. Because if I don't, that's going to be a problem. I'm going to soft lock the save, and we don't want that. Because the only other way to make an anvil, I'm going to have to research... Oh, I'm going to have to research the factory and then all that. But that requires so much stuff. Oh, I have to have an anvil to build the factory in the first place. Yeah, so I just don't know the way this is all set up. I'm under the impression that I'm supposed to replace this with the 4-way district center and then harvest the anvil from here to make our primitive ironworks. But, you know, I kind of can't take that risk unless I know for sure. So please, if you have played this before, let me know what the correct anvil strategy is, because I don't feel like making that mistake on a live Let's Play world. That would be a travesty to have to keep redoing this over and over again. But all things considered, I think we've done reasonably well for the first episode. We only have a day and a half left here. We don't have any logs left because we haven't... Oh, well, that's fun. Can't get here because I don't have enough logs to build the stairs. So let's help him out. That's not going to do anything, is it? Nope, I was incorrect. I should have thought about what kind of wood problems I was going to have. We can cut these trees down though. So let's always forget this is in here. Lumberjack flag. Come on down. Build this thing, staff this thing, get it going on. We'll get this lumberjack flag lumberjacking. Take these trees out, and then we can plant more stuff here, which is kind of the whole point in the first place. But hopefully by the end of this episode, we'll have these stairs in place. We can start getting these trees down, and then we can think about how we want to have our tree farm growing. We still have plenty of wood accessible. We don't really need to start growing anything right now, but we're going to want to pretty quick. Pretty quick. I'm not entirely sure where I want stuff to go. I think up here would probably not be a bad choice, but we're going to have more irrigation for this to really, really work out the way I think it needs to. Let's keep an eye on our water levels. I think we're going to be fine. I don't think I need to pause water. Hopefully I don't. It's going to be so funny when I have to get rid of this. Mostly harmless. That's from Hitchhiker's Guide. I had a couple of those pop culture reference names in there. See who else? Oh, hey. We got James Peacock over here. We got Roy Gray. We've seen him before. Who else? Skrymer we already knew was there. Distrib Simulations we already talked. Nobody here. Nobody there. I think these are all the same guys. Yeah, Fabrizio from before. Who's working here? Okay, I don't know who that is. Yeah, cut those trees down. Get those logs. Build this scrambled log stairs. And we'll see what we're able to do. I can leave this guy in place until all these trees are removed. Probably don't want to have all of these berries here, but for right now, it is going to be a good idea to have that extra food, just so we don't get too out of scope. But yeah, we are approaching the end of today's episode. So while we're here, waiting for them to take care of the rest of this stuff, just want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If this is the first time you've seen one of my videos, welcome. I do mostly this, largely unedited gameplay of city builders, and just try to be as descriptive as possible and narrate what's going on. Seems like a lot of people seem to enjoy those videos, and there's not a ton in a similar style out there, so I think we have a good time here. But yeah, thanks for checking the videos out if you've been here forever. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate you, as well as our beard boosters who are doing fantastic support for me able to keep making these videos. It takes a lot of time. especially when you have to spend hours and hours troubleshooting things or reassembling time-lapse photos that you accidentally messed up by being an idiot or anything like that. It's that kind of support each and every month that really makes it possible for me to keep doing this in the amount that I do and not have to take on other jobs and stuff to make money. So, you know, it's nice. I like to play the games, like to have a good time with you guys, and getting that extra bit of support really, really does make a difference. So huge thank you to those. Of course, you've seen their names scrolling on the screen this whole time anyway, but just cannot say enough good things about those people who support the channel, support me, and make it possible for all of these fun things to happen. We have more of this coming. I think we're going to try once a week for the Water Beavers. Call it Water Beaver Wednesday. Let me know if you want to see longer videos, since this is just going to be once a week, or if you really would rather see 2 videos a week around an hour length or so. I think that's probably what I could manage. If it's once a week, they might be able to be a little bit longer, in the 1.5 to 2 hour range, possibly, but I do want your input. I want to make sure that I'm respectful of people's preferences and time commitments too, because it takes a lot of time to make the videos, but it also takes a lot of time to watch videos. And I don't want anybody to feel like they're obligated to watch stuff they don't have time for or whatever. That's the last thing I want, is for it to be stressful. So please do let me know what you think. How much more of this do you want to see? How long do you want the videos, etc.? Because after all, it's a Let's Play series. It is not a Watch Me Play the Game series. I want to involve you guys and make sure that you feel like you are a part of everything, because that's fun. And I just like doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, we got more Timberborn Folktales coming tomorrow. And then I'm going to try and put Ostriff out on Friday again. But I got some other obligations ramping up starting, well, I guess tomorrow as of the posting of this video, that are going to take up a significant amount of time. But I'm going to do my best to keep videos coming as much as I can. And again, really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch the videos and engage. I do read all the comments, and I really do appreciate when you guys leave feedback or just say hi or whatever's on your mind. That's what makes this stuff really fun. So here comes the sun on the last day of cycle 1. We'll go ahead and speed up just a little bit. Watch this water come back in. Get rid of our lodge here in the middle. And then that's going to be it for today. But look at all this stuff we got done in episode 1, and we didn't lose a single beaver to starvation or dehydration, as far as I know. So if that happened in the corner, I guess let me know in the comments. But yeah, I'd say a pretty good start to a very, very difficult Water Beavers playthrough. So we'll dive a little bit more into metal production next time, I'm sure. And continuing to build slowly, working our way toward different types of food. But yeah, this is such a fantastic mod. And all of the fun new things that come with it. And here comes our water coming in right there. And that is going to signal the end of this episode. I'll make sure to get rid of this before I save for the next time. But yeah, thanks for being here. Again, I really appreciate you. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Whatever it is you're doing, stay safe, have fun, and we'll hope to see you again in the next video. Have a good one. Bye-bye.